welcome to our latest video for the playlist History of North Africa and the Mediterranean. In the last few videos we seem to be speaking quite a bit about the Trojans and the Canaanites. So what is the connection between the Trojans and the Canaanites? Now we have put forward this theory: could the Greek god Zeus be the biblical Cush? So Dardanos, the founder of the Trojan royal line, is it actually coming from Cush? But then what about Canaan? Is Canaan a part of this mythology, this Greek mythology that we have been told about? But is that really an accurate term? Saying Greek mythology. So let's look at Agenor. Now Agenor is described as a Phoenician king of Tyre or Sidon. Now, remember, we're just trying to work with that simple idea. If we go back to the comment from the viewer, where it said the Canaanites and Phoenicians are just the same people. So just connecting the Phoenicians with the Canaanites. So in the mythology we have Agenor, described as a Phoenician king. So then could we say that he would be a Canaanite king? Now these two cities, Tyre and Sidon, two famous Phoenician cities, often mentioned alongside each other. So if we go to the Gospel of Mark, we can see that we have Tyre and Sidon. So maybe there's a close proximity because of the way they mentioned alongside each other. Now we know that Sidon is connected with Canaan. So we have a city, but we also know that it could be connected with a person, because if we go to Genesis 10, we see Sidon, the firstborn of Canaan. But for the other city, Tyre, if we go to an encyclopedia, it says that a native or inhabitant of the city of Tyre, a Tyrian. So the Tyrians, for the city of Tyre. But if we go to the genealogy, we see there's no son carrying this name. So we don't have a clear connection to Canaan with the Tyrians. So who are the Tyrians? So I just wanted to bring this forward to show that, if you remember, I said I'm not sure it's quite so simple or straightforward saying that the Phoenicians are Canaanites, because the Tyrians are Phoenicians, but who are the Tyrians? So we're looking for a connection with Canaan in this mythology. So it's interesting that Agenor has been connected with Canaan. So we do have a scholar that says this name Agenor could be the same as Canaan from the Bible. So quite interesting. So Agenor could have the same, could be a variation for Canaan. And then it is interesting that his father would be Poseidon. And I did a video quite a while ago asking, could Poseidon be connected with Canaan from the Bible, because of the similarity of the ending of the name Sidon. And we know Sidon, a son of Canaan. So, I have said before, we do have to be careful as amateurs or lay people that, we see similarities and then we just make connections based on the similarities. So we do have to be careful, but we do kind of have two links now to Canaan. So we have one scholar connecting Agenor with the name Canaan, and then we also have the similarity of Sidon. So very interesting. I would say, for me personally at the moment, if we think about connecting Cush with Zeus, I feel more strongly and confident with that. But this connection with Canaan, with Agenor and Poseidon, I'm more tentative about that at the moment. But we do have that connection. So what I'd like to do now is go to a descendant of Agenor called Phoenix. Phoenix, son of Agenor. And it says that this could be the eponym of Phoenicia. So remember we said that Phoenicia, that the Greeks called the land of Canaan Phoenicia. So this Phoenicia coming to us from the Greeks, this word. And we looked at the color purple with this shell, the purple dye, Tyrian purple. And Phoenicia famous for this color. And we did all those, looking at all those meanings, and we said, could Canaan mean the land of purple? But now we see that it might not be coming from the shell, because it could be coming from a character in the mythology called Phoenix. So this is going to be interesting to see what is the truth regarding the the name Phoenicia. Okay, so if you want to, you can pause the video to read all this, but we're just going to look at the basis of the story. We have Hercules or Hercules, and it's calling him the Tyrian. So that's interesting. Hercules the Tyrian. So we know him as a Greek demigod or a Greek hero, but here he's described as a Tyrian. So you could also maybe say Hercules the Phoenician, just to show that it's maybe not so straightforward. That Hercules, who's supposed to be Greek, is now also being called a Phoenician, and we'll come back to that towards the end. But what we learn from the story, if it's true, is that it's actually Hercules that discovers the purple shell, this color purple, and then he takes it to Phoenix, the king of Tyre. So this could be the important part, because if he's already named Phoenix before Hercules discovers the purple shell, then how can Phoenicia be connected with the color purple? So let me just try, go through that again. So, we're told that Phoenicia is coming to us, and it carries the name purple, or the land of purple. So Canaan would be the land of purple, based on this name Phoenicia. But we see that it could actually be coming from a character. So he's called Phoenix. But the important thing, I think, would be, when is he called Phoenix? Because if he's named Phoenix before, Hercules discovers the shell, then Phoenicia is not about the color purple, it's about something else. So what would it be? If it's not about the color purple, what would it be about? So we see that Phoenix has the meaning of sun red. So let's just try to explore this. And we're going to use the source, the Hittites and the Etruscans. And this will also relate back to how we started the video, where we said, what is the connection between the Trojans and the Canaanites? So this is interesting because scholars are connecting the Hittites with the Etruscans, so Canaanites with the Etruscans, but then we also know the Etruscans are connected with the Trojans. So, the Etruscans, this was a civilization in Italy being connected with both groups of people, Canaanites and Trojans. If we just want to go down to the part that I highlighted. So it says, the Etruscans regarded red apparently as a propitious color. So did the Egyptians, who are represented red on their monuments. As the Hottentots also to the present day paint themselves red. Set the fire god is represented red in Egypt. So we see the importance of red, and that is connected with fire worship. So a fire god. And if you remember back to our video on the Trojans and the Berbers, Herodotus was describing Libyan tribes in North Africa, and one of them, the Maxyes, and it was interesting, it says here that they paint their bodies with vermilion. So the Maxyes painting their bodies red, and these claim descent from the men who came from Troy. So this is a connection with the Trojans and this practice of painting themselves red. And also that would be connected with the Berbers of North Africa, which is important. But we also see it's connected with the Etruscans. And we've already said how the Etruscans are connected with the Trojans, and then we see this source saying the Trojans were involved in this, let's say the religion or the ritual customs of painting themselves red. So is this actually the true, the true story here? If we just recap on that, because we're told that Phoenicia and Canaan could mean the land of purple because of this shell. But when we look at the mythology, we see there's actually a character carrying this name, and his name could mean sun red. So is it actually really about fire worship? So that would be very interesting, because then we would be saying that the land of Canaan or the land of Phoenicia, is it really the land of the fire worshippers rather than the land of purple? From what we've been told. So that would be very interesting and important, because that we do have according to Herodotus, tribes in this region, Berber tribes painting themselves red, which could show that practice of potentially fire worship in this region. So it's going to take a bit of time to research this and to try to see how this all comes together. But we are starting to see more and more connections with these groups of people, with the Trojans and the Etruscans and the Berbers. But I would like to just come back to what we said we'd come back to with Hercules. So Hercules, is supposed to be a Greek demigod, a Greek hero, but now he's been described as the Tyrian. So why is Hercules being described as the Phoenician or the Tyrian? Now we do have a character in the Phoenician mythology, or if we can say the Phoenician form of worship, called Melqart. So a Phoenician god or a Canaanite god. And the interesting thing is, it says, most notably he was identified with the Greek Hercules and the Roman Hercules, since at least the 6th century BC, and eventually became interchangeable with his Greek counterpart. So yeah, this is why I said it's not quite so straightforward, because we know, or we've been speaking about the Straits of Gibraltar as the Pillars of Hercules. Now we're seeing that it could also be called the Pillars of Melqart, for a Phoenician god or a Canaanite god. So that's what I was trying to say. When we presented with this Greek mythology, as if it's Greek, but is that really accurate when we see that it's the Greek Hercules, could actually be the Phoenician Melqart. So yeah, very interesting. Now we have something else to try to think about. Why is Hercules considered Greek, but at the same time he's also considered Phoenician? And I'll try explain as best as I can in this video, what could be going on here. And what we'll do is we'll look at Dardanos to do it. So just to recap, that Dardanos is the founder of the Trojan race, so the Trojans. Now we see Zeus on his paternal side for the Trojans, but we're thinking Cush, and we're going to try to think about this geographically as well. So for the Trojans, on the father's side, we're thinking Cush, but if we go back, we see on his maternal, so the mother's side, it traces back to Atlas. And we've been learning about the Atlas mountain range and the Atlantic. So we see, on the maternal side, this region, this part of the world. So just to kind of think about it geographically for the Trojans. So the paternal, we're thinking Cush, and the maternal, we're thinking Atlas and also Poseidon. Because remember, Poseidon, who's connected with the Phoenicians, Atlas is described also as a son of Poseidon, and we see this connection with Canaan. But I'm just going to say that this is tentative for me at the moment, but are we connecting this part of the world with Canaan? So hopefully that kind of makes sense what I'm saying. So the Trojans would have Cush on their, let's say, their father's side, and maybe Canaan on their mother's side, or the maternal. And maybe that could explain the connection with the Trojans and the Canaanites, that the Trojans are connected to the Canaanites. So it's like to keep it simple, it's just like a family. It's a family story within this mythology, and maybe it's predominantly between Cush and Canaan. And then if we look at the Phoenician side, it's going to be the reverse. So Agenor, described as the Phoenician, but it's also been connected with Canaan. We see, on Agenor's side, on his father's side, getting mixed up here. So on his father's side is Poseidon. So his father would be, let's say, connected with this region of the world. But we see on his maternal, it traces back to Zeus. So his maternal, through Libya, traces back to Zeus. So for the Phoenicians, it's the reverse. So the paternal would be this part of the world, this region, and then the maternal may be connected with Cush. Please let me know if that was, if you were able to follow along with that, if it was, if it made sense and it didn't get too confusing. So just one last time, I'm saying this, what it seems like to me, trying to understand this mythology and this these groups of people. The Trojan would be the father, with Cush, and the maternal with Poseidon, or maybe we're thinking Canaan. But then the Phoenician side is reversed, where the father would be, this part of the world, so let's say Canaan or Poseidon, and then the maternal is coming from, this part of the world, maybe Cush. That's what it seems like to me at the moment. And yeah, I'm just going to say that the connection with Poseidon and Canaan to me is more tentative at the moment. I think it would be nice to have some more stronger links. But I think we definitely are seeing, or maybe starting to learn why the Trojans are connected with the Canaanites. And it's very interesting how it also connects with the Etruscans. And we see that there are researchers who are asking these questions. Are the Hittites connected with the Etruscans? So the Canaanites with the Etruscans, but we know this is also connected with the Trojans. So you could say the Canaanites and the Trojans. And we may be learning now through this mythology, even though it's not easy to look at it, it could be a family story. So Cush and Canaan, is that largely what the mythology is about? So it's largely a story within the family of Ham. And that doesn't quite make sense when we think about it's kind of how you grow up, and if you grow up in the Western world, the Western education, learning about the Romans and the Greeks, then it becomes hard to process when you might hear that, this mythology that we call Greek, could largely be, a story within the family of Ham. In the next video, I would like to speak about the Numidians, so the Numidians of North Africa. So it is a kingdom on the historical record, but it's also going to involve the mythology again. So we are doing a lot of work with the mythology, and I hope you're finding it interesting. And I think it could be important to think about Phoenicia and Canaan. Is it actually about fire worship? But I'm not saying that they weren't famous for the purple dye, the Tyrian purple. But is that really the true connection? Is there actually something else going on here that we maybe not being made aware of? So that'll be it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.